All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So look, this is obviously a little bit of a negative day, but I've always said it. Look, the cost of education is what you do with your losses, all right? And I don't know if you held or not. Obviously, we're looking at a horrible 20% loss, right? No one wants to look at that. But in my eyes, you don't focus on the loss, you focus on the lesson learned. And this is exactly why every single stock, every single sector, I don't care if it's a blue chip, amazing stock, if it's a penny random or anything in between. Earnings are the craziest thing. Earnings are the biggest 50-50 that generally brings a big up or big down. And I would much rather avoid it, see what happens, and then attack accordingly. All right. And the one analogy I use is this. Look, let's just pretend I was the strongest person on earth. Okay. Even the strongest person on earth does not go to the middle of the forest and fight 17 bears at the same time. Okay, you will lose. I don't care if you are the single greatest amount of strength that there is. 17 bears are going to gang up on you and just take you out, right? So you got to know your limits. And I always say it, there are certain events and stocks that make these colorful lines, make my white resistance and supports, they mean nothing. And earnings is one of them, all right? So it was clearly a tilray thing. I'll talk about a couple of the headlines I saw. I'll talk about the ripple on the rest of them, and then my thoughts for tomorrow and beyond, right? So yeah, this is, again, I know this one's a little bit of a rough one, but again, take the lesson, learn from it, and your trading career is either just getting started or only in the middle. Believe me when I say that. Today is by no means the last day, all right? So before we go any further, though, and I give you my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do. We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms. But for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it all right? So let's get into it. And look, I don't know if you watched yesterday's video or not. I put a couple posts on Twitter. This is the easiest place to see it. Look, we were either gonna destroy resistances and head to 3 or slip back into the moving averages towards 2, right? And I mean, that's what we saw today. Earnings are one of the biggest swings up or down you will ever get, and they happen 4 times a year, once every 3 months, right? So I don't necessarily care if it's Q1 versus Q2 versus Q3. Obviously, I would say a full year is probably gonna be the biggest, but any earnings call can do big things like this, all right? And you know, it's funny, I was getting a lot of credit. I do not take credit for knowing this was gonna come down, right? Like, I don't want you to think to yourselves, dang, this chart reader dude knew this. I did not know, right? I knew one of the two was gonna happen. I didn't think there was going to be a doji. All right, there was very I didn't even mention it, right? I just believed it was a big or, and yeah, none of these colorful lines help me know which way the or is, right? So yeah, this is what we see, and I mentioned breaking. I just basically said we would skip one and go to the second one up. That's essentially what we did down here, right? Look, I always say it, I value these moving averages more than my lines, right? My lines, I even say them, they're not here for perfect, they're here for good enough. These are computer generated based on like decimal level information of closing, right? And some math I don't even know. But we basically skip the first line and we come all the way down to the next line, right? So that same 1-2 up, because again, when there are no more resistance, I mean, no more moving averages above, you got to hope the lines are good enough, right? And again, knock on wood, so far mine have been, right? But yeah, we didn't do the 2 up. Instead, we do 2 moving averages down, right? And that to me is never worth it, right? This is a big doji. Okay, this is a big doji, but the problem actually is even, and I haven't even gotten to the earnings headlines yet, which I will in a second, right? Let's take a look at the S&P 500. Oh, you closed here. Get out of town. Oh man, this was a big 15-minute candle just before the close, and lo and behold, we actually got a little bit of a follow through. Interesting. So look, today wasn't the most beautiful of days. We actually open at 52.17, and then we actually closed down here, right? We are what? Wow, 7 and 6 is we're 13 cents over the 8 moving average. That's a little on the funny side. Oh, volume didn't calculate, so it's a little bit behind, but interesting. Look, what I was gonna say is S&P 500 just being so iffy, and I actually wasn't sure if we were gonna. I didn't think we were gonna do this. I actually thought we were gonna 50% and come back down to the 15.19. So interesting to see the 21 close. I digress a bit. You can tell that that's actually just catching me, and I'm digesting that. But look, S&P 500, Dow Jones, DJ30, the Dow Jones Industrial. This one's not as pretty. S&P 500 did do just a little bit better than I actually expected. You could tell right there, right? I don't know which one to focus on. I will say the fact that they're a little bit disjoint isn't the best thing. You want the indices to be doing the same thing. And again, I don't really look at NASDAQ when I'm talking about weed, because we're literally talking about farming. We're talking about putting a seed in the ground, watching it grow, and then taking it to a physical store. We can't even do e-commerce on this thing, right? So technology, NASDAQ really, I don't think matters much, right? But my issue was where I went on before the tangent, right, was we have a doji that's due to bad earnings, and they were bad. I am not. I would love to hear a long holder's good view on the earnings, because again, you know me, I did not listen to it. All I really did was take a flash at a couple different headlines and a couple different numbers, right? But if you see a good spin on it, please let me know, okay? But I'm seeing a doji due to bad earnings and a shaky indice right now, right? And that leads me to believe that we're coming down to these two next. I don't think we're bouncing back up to the 20 moving average. I think we're coming down to the next tranche, all right? That's now a lot scarier of an RSI. That's definitely not the prettiest of volume, especially over the last, 3, 6, 7, 8 days, right? And the MACD looks like it's about to do the wrong divergence, right? We want this divergence where green goes up and away, not down and below, right? Same word, both the lines are going away, they're just diverging the wrong way is what I'm expecting. That right there is a wrong divergence, not that good pretty one we saw down here, right? So Tilray's scary, all right? So what was the headline news that I saw, all right? Obviously, even if you didn't see it, you're looking at this percent, right? But there are 3 big things that I saw. Number 1, earnings per share was missed. Earnings per share was worse than it was expected. Number 2, total revenue was missed, right? And look, you can kind of think to yourself, well, obviously, if you miss the earnings per share, you're going to miss the revenue. That's not necessarily true. Sometimes you can get away with good revenue and bad expenses, right? Sometimes if the earnings are good enough, people aren't going to really care. Like, I have seen it where you're spending $20 to make 3, but people are so excited that you've made that 3 and they're not really looking at that 20. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, revenue was missed, earnings per share was missed, and then guidance was bad. Okay, listen to me. The stock market cares less about today and more about what we think about tomorrow. Again, by the rumor. The rumor is tomorrow is this or that, right? Rumors are about the future. The market cares about the future. And when the guidance, which is just a fancy word for what does the company think the future is about to look like, right? When the guidance is bad, oh man, what else can we do but react and get even scared? And also, The right thing to do is over assume how bad it is, because the last thing you want to do is under assume, and oh my gosh, it's work. Because oof, oh man, right? Like, I don't want to make some dumb assumptions. I really don't know enough to make the assumptions. I just saw that they no longer think it's going to be a positive number in the future. I'm assuming they're talking about net or gross, revenue, earnings, or profit, right? Again, I'm not an economist here. I don't pretend to know these things, right? But overall, when they say, "Hey, remember when we said the future is going to be positive?" I'm not sure that's about to happen. That's bad guidance, all right? So let me know one more time. There are a lot of Tilray longs here, all right? Let me know, number one, if you see a good spin on the earnings that you think should be shared with the team, all right? Number two, let me know if there's any good guidance I might have missed. I think that's important. And then, look, I would love to know if there was any like tones, or like if anyone listened to it and like, what do they sound like? Were they confident? Were they like nervous even as they were giving bad things? Because again, remember, just saying I think things are going to be bad can get horribly worse if guidance is lowered or just straight missed on the next earnings, right? So like that's what this doji is, in my opinion. It's not a question like, and again, I don't want to make some dumb assumptions. Let's get into some technicals, because again, I'm not here for fundamentals, all right? So the technical rhyme is break all five and fly, or lose all five and die, okay? We saw the last January 9th earnings take us from above all five and getting ready to take off to lose all five. And I would arguably say die when you go from 2 to like what, $1.50-ish, give or take. Maybe not quite a horrible death, but yeah, it's not a great one, right? I have to sit here and think two things. Number one, I'm already thinking to myself, I don't think I'm going to be making weed videos daily, right? And in my head, if I'm thinking that, in my head, I'm also thinking, I don't think volume's going to hold here. I don't think we're going to be matching the 50-day average, or we're going to be destroying it with big, bad, scary volume candles, all right? So I am worried volume's about to change right here, because again, let's remember, this was a bad stock till Kamala Harris did her magic, till we got a nice little boost from these Germany thoughts, and again, up until this earnings, basically, right? But will there be a potential that some federal headlines save this? Yes and no, right? Again, you got to remember, this is a Canadian stock. Hey, can they like cross over and do their things? Obviously, yeah. And again, you know me, I always talk about sector strength, this and that, right? But I think the worry is here. I for sure am gonna I haven't used this word in a while. I think our death line is basically 185, 184. I would even say 186, but like, yeah, let's just, I mean, yeah, it's 184. You lose 185, 184, and man, bad things can happen. Because again, remember, we never got to it, which is an amazing thing. We never got to it, but there's a little bit of me that's wondering, are we going to come down to this 150, right? And again, I am not here saying that that's my target, right? For now, we're talking 180. And again, we have two monster lines right here. The 50 and the 100 are no joke, right? So these are two monster lines that might do something, but I think I'm anticipating what were an 8 and a 20 that were going up are slowly going to start to become an 8 and 20 that are going down. What were ones that were going up are about to go down. Listen, I love parabolic movement. All right, I love parabolic movement. All right, this is a parabolic. The lines go down, the lines go up, the lines go like I love it. I do, right? The candles go up, they go down, they do. I'm here not to fall in love with stock. I love this sector, all right? I'm not here pretending I don't, all right? I think it's silly, the rules that are in place. I've said this so many times. Imagine if Apple needed to build a new factory every time they wanted to sell phones in a new state. Get out of here. Like, no, who would say that's a like free market doesn't exist in this sector, right? And the rules are horrible. They are, right? Nonetheless, I'm not here to fall in love, right? I'm not here to say the sky is blue when it's not. I am not here talking about averaging down at these amazing price. No, all right. I am worried we're about to lose 180. I am. I really am, and I think that's a scary thing because let's just draw the line. Let's just say I think it's actually worth drawing. That's our line right there. 185, that is the line. Look, it's the bottom of those two, it's the middle of those, it's the middle of that. Like, that's our, if you lose this, all I'm really seeing is just red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, 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 red, red. Like, we're coming back down to 160, and then, oh man, we cannot come there, right? So 185 is a very important line. One more time, hopefully that $2 holds. Let me know if you disagree, all right? Let me know if you disagree. This was an amazing run up, all right? This was an amazing run up. I don't think it's quite dead. I still do believe in the 2024 election cycle helping the sector, all right? I think we're slowing down a bit, maybe even a little worse, at least specifically on this one, all right? Let's see what it confirms. The only way I think I would trust Tilray is if we get over 231, okay? I definitely need it over the 8, and that's going to be the next thing it needs to do. But yeah, if we're all the way down here, I at least need that 220, but truth be told, I want more than 220, and I'm going to want 230. Otherwise, like I said, I'm thinking 180, 180-ish right now, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions. There's no need to look at the weekly. Oh, I appreciate you so much, all right? Let's come into CGC right here. So I was hoping, I really was, I was hoping that bad Tilray earnings maybe would bring good volume and good money here. I did, okay? I don't think that's what we saw today. All right, real quick, if you can please subscribe, if you can please share this video, it does wonders for the algorithms, all right? So I have always said that Tilray is the king of the sector, is the queen of the sector for the ladies out there, all right? That is a complete technical statement. It's because Tilray made that silly run to 200 USD. It's because Tilray gets the most volume. I don't really care about float and this and that, right? So, you know, my opinion, right? Like, I ain't saying that that's 1000% accurate, and you know, I'm always for sure maybe wrong on every single word I say, right? But though it was Tilray that had bad earnings, though it was Tilray that missed earnings per share, though it was Tilray that gave bad guidance, though it was solely focused on those 4 random letters, TLRY, I believe there was a ripple effect across the sector, all right? And as much as there was a real possibility of a good ripple even with bad over there, right? We actually somewhat saw it before. Not everything super tanked on the 9th, right? It was this, nope, sorry. It was this candle. Nope. Wow, that was dumb. It was this candle. There we go. This was the 9th of Tilray's earnings, right? It wasn't that bad here, actually. Maybe eventually later, right? But again, you can see the ripple wasn't immediate here. And hey, maybe that's what we see again. Maybe we just kind of stay horizontal here. Maybe we just kind of stay horizontal with the 8, right? My concern does actually become the same thing I just said with Tilray, right? Look, I usually don't make videos back to back, let alone for a week and a half, right? I like mixing it up because it's easy to fall in love with letters. There's no other way of saying it, right? And to me, I think I'm going to stop making these every day. That's my guess. We'll see. Maybe it doesn't, right? Maybe the views still crush it. There's still a bunch of good questions and blah, 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 right? But if I'm thinking that, you got to believe I'm thinking, I think volume and interest are going to come down as well. And the issue becomes, look, before this amazing Kamala plus Germany plus this and plus that plus rumor this and that run, look, this was a stock that was trading 1.5 million shares. All right. So if we're expecting 12, right, you can see average 50 in that volume box is 12,300,000 something. And we can only start delivering 1.2 if we're missing 90% of the volume. That's a scary thing that could happen. And again, that was actually the norm for a really long time before, like I said, the Kamala plus pop, right? So volume's got me a little bit worried here. And what that I think means is I think we're coming to that line right there. Look, I'm going to move this 455. All right. I think if we have to start talking about that, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leave 455. Fat fingers. That's fine. 453. Who cares? We're going to move this up. I think we're coming down to 760. I think that makes the most sense to me. I don't know if 850 will hold it. I don't think so. I think we're coming to 760, and then if 760 doesn't hold, we're coming down to 670. And hey, truth be told, between the 8 and the 20, all I actually really see is a green, 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 green. That might be a red, 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 red. And as I'm saying the words, I'm deleting that line. And I'm actually deleting this one too. We don't need those two because now I actually really think we're talking about the 8 and the 20. I do. And that 450 that I almost deleted, look, that's the first line under the MAs. These are still going to move up, right? The 50 and the 100 are still kind of behind, and they're still catching up to this move up. So yeah, maybe things kind of all come into this like 560 range. And then yeah, between that and that. But right now, I'm immediately thinking 760. I don't think that's the line I can draw. I think I got to give more weight to the 20 moving average. Now listen, if you've watched my videos, you've seen it, right? You bounce on the 8, you slip, you come to the 20, and hopefully the 20 saves you. Nothing had to do with CGC today. There really was no CGC headline that said, hey, we deserve to lose 9%, almost 10%, right? There was nothing in the TLRY earnings that said, hey, by the way, I don't think the canopy guidance is going to be good either. You know what I mean? Like, maybe the dust will settle. Maybe this will keep coming up and up and up and up. And hey, maybe that drop won't be that bad, right? But this is what I have to expect, right? When the king goes down, the empire crumbles. Right? And I'm not saying that to think doom and gloom and no. It's going to be real difficult to lose 5, right? We got 4 moving averages here. Like, believe me, I think I'm not here talking doom and gloom, right? But a drop from 9 to 7 is going to make me sad. I'll tell you that, right? Let alone even worse to that 5 I just mentioned, right? So, this, that, and those, right? These are just thoughts and opinions, and let me know yours, right? But it's only one candle. It's only one candle. It's not even a big one. But we're under the 8. We're seeing the volume drop. We're seeing bad divergence on the RSI right there. I'm seeing a MACD curve. Yeah, right? So, again, kind of like I did on the last video. Look, high tide. It's a weird doji right here. All right? The TLRY earnings had absolutely nothing to do with high tide. Nothing. There was no headline that said, you know what, I don't think Raj is a good CEO. There was no headline that said, you know what, I think high tide isn't, like, there was nothing connected, but that's a scary doji. Now, what I like here is the drop isn't as horrible, right? But, you know, let's see, right? Because again, let's take a look at this. January 9th, we actually had the bad TLRY earnings. This thing actually holds and kind of loops up and goes, right? So in some ways, it's almost the same thing we can say with CGC, and actually maybe even a little bit better because the lines weren't as separated, right? So high tide, again, let's see how this confirms. This scares me a bit. And again, I think it just has to do with the king goes down. There's a little bit of shakiness with the S&P 500. It actually closed a little bit better than I thought. I don't know if you fast forwarded or not. I'm a little surprised that we got that green candle, and it for real happened in the last 45 minutes. You can argue maybe that, nah, dude, that pop is do that, right? Like that pop got me, and it was literally in one 15-minute move, and then we followed through two after, right? So interesting day here. Dow Jones, again, not the prettiest. We're actually like just holding that 50 pretty well though, right? So 50 is a strong line. That's a death cross right there, 8 going under the 20, right? But high tide, again, I think this is more the seas around it are iffy, right? And you gotta respect that. You do, right? So same thought on SNDL, all right? Again, you just gotta respect the iffiness around you, okay? And you know, I would say this was ready, and Tilray crushed it last time. I think this SNDL chart really did get crushed. And you know, price didn't drop as horribly, but this was getting ready. I remember being excited. I do. MACD was setting up. RSI was healthy. Volume was starting to peak and break that 50-day. Like, you know what I mean? And again, this was a beautiful ride up. I think you got to respect the shakiness, right? So let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you disagree. Otherwise, I appreciate you all so much.